Hello, I got places to be. Places to be. Hello, I got places to be. Like me next to you, and you next to me.
This thing sounds sweet. Don't yes it is. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right, guys, it's Pablo here. I'm with my good friend Isaac. You want to give a quick introduction about yourself?
My name is Isaac. I am in Scottsdale, Arizona. Recently a founder of a company called Motor Mia. I'm dad to the real life Mia, 6-year-old little girl, and I like cars.
And we'll get more into his story, but we met Isaac. He came to our show, I think, March of 2023, so last year.
Yep.
He had an idea in his head of a company he wanted to start, which is Motor Mia, the one he just mentioned. And boy, has this just turned into like an insane project. It's grown a ton in the last year and a half. And he always thinks it's slow, but we'll get into that. So I guess to start things off, can you tell him a bit about the car we're in today?
So today we're driving a 2018 Alfa Romeo 4C. It is a unique specification. It has some of the rare options on it, like a carbon roof, carbon inserts on the front bumper, an Akrapovic centerline exhaust that was factory. So I know that for a fact that there aren't too many of this, what they call unicorn spec. Yeah, I'm super excited to own it, actually.
I mean, one of the biggest things is this whole roof is carbon, right? That's not normal?
It's a carbon monocoque, carbon roof.
But as far as like the spec-wise, like you can see it from the outside, because I feel like all the ones I've seen are just pure red or something like that. No, it's a beautiful
So
spec.
it gives it a different vibe.
You guys can't feel it, but it feels so nice in here. Like the car just feels very responsive. There's an intake that feels like it's in my right ear. Isaac's been into cars for a long time. I know a little bit about his story. Your entrepreneurship journey kind of got started with that, right?
Yep.
So I know that you started early on. You were a teenager, started selling cars. Was it that?
So I was 16 years old. I was buying and selling plastic pieces in the flea markets of Queens, New York. But at the time, my inventory was moved around with the help of a trusted 1995 Jeep Wrangler YJ Sahara Edition 6-cylinder. And there was a moment that there was a day in the flea market when I was hustling where somebody walked up to me and said, "That's a beautiful car," and I offered them to buy it. Unfortunately for me, I made $2,000 profit on that, and a light bulb moment went on quite easily, which was, why am I spending so much time selling a bunch of plastic things to make maybe $200-300 in a day when I can make $2,000 on a single transaction? So that one Jeep became many Jeeps and many Miatas and many MR2s and 300CXs and pretty much everything that had a 5-speed manual transmission to it. And I owned and operated that business for almost 8 years, between the ages of 16 and 24. Sold countless numbers of vehicles, probably tens of thousands.
Really?
Yeah.
And that was over the course of how many years, you said?
8 years.
Wow.
The business really took off when the Fast and Furious came out, and people were really getting into these cars. But Jeeps and Miatas, that was my bread and butter. I was very particular about the types that I bought, the TLC behind them, who owned it, that kind of stuff. And I think at least my quote-unquote customers at the time, really appreciated the way I handled things, and I was also fair.
Okay.
That was a big deal. Like, I didn't maximize profit. I maximized for the enthusiast experience, which was finally finding that car that you really wanted. And I enjoyed seeing those moments.
I'm sure too, with enthusiasts, like obviously a lot of the guys cycle through cars. So being a good seller and actually being honest and everything probably got a lot of those people being repeat customers.
Yeah, like I was so young, I didn't have any real business fundamentals. It was super basic, money in, money out, just make sure there's a little bit more in. I just enjoyed it. I just had fun doing it. So like, I didn't even think about profitability. Like if somebody walked in the door and as long as they were paying me a little bit more than what I bought the car for, I was excited for them to own it, because I know what it feels like to just, you know, get something you're really looking for, that you really wanted. You just wanted to gift that to people.
So it was out of passion. And then just so you guys,
pure passion.
Yeah.
Pure passion.
And so you guys know, so when he was doing 5 speeds, like Isaac, you could get any car you want, and you still have that RX-7 in the garage. You have the Miata. You like fun cars. Like, you know what you like, and you've stuck to it since then. So I think to the next question, what's your favorite car you've owned and why?
Favorite car of all time, and that will be very difficult to ever change, is the Mazda Miata. The one that I owned is the 1995 M edition, though I owned every single special edition there was, from the BRG to the STO to the R package. I had them all at some point. But the M edition, the Merlot mica paint that I owned for almost the majority of its life, I want to say 25 or so years, I can't remember exactly, but 20 plus years. That's just a lot of memories, you know, grandpa, sisters, you know, birthdays, just a lot of special moments are tied to that car. And when I first acquired it, while I was owning and operating the dealership, and it was the most expensive Miata you could ever find, because I just didn't want to sell it. So I just put it for like 60 grand, and it was just meant to hang out there and be a showpiece for people to see. I had the opportunity to get it, you know, modified by the early stage team at founding team at Flying Miata. We had put on a original Flying Miata turbo kit on the car, suspension system, exhaust system. That's like, so it was actually modified quite early in its lifetime, and those modifications have lasted till this date. The car has almost 50,000 miles on it. It looks all original, other than what's under the hood, for the most part. And it's just the best freaking car ever.
It's exactly what you want then.
If you ever got to drive it, it's a real sleeper. And as soon as you put the pedal to the metal, you're like, what the hell?
So I remember you ran into Tyler that one time. This thing feels so good. You ran into Tyler one time and let him drive it. He's never called me freaking out that much about how exciting that car was.
Yeah.
He said he took it down that road in Mexico called Scottsdale.
It's just been meticulously maintained and upgraded, like in a really curated way, not in a no expense spared way, but like a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Only recently did I let other people start work on the car. Yeah. Because of time constraints, but even those people that worked on the car, I was there as they're working on it, so I was trying to like contribute to the effort, you know, while they were helping out. So, well, I love that car.
Going back to the entrepreneurship journey, so a lot of the people that we hang out with, or that might be watching the video, want to own cars like this. So how did you progress from having the dealership and selling Jeeps and Miatas, 5 speeds in general, to kind of moving along your career and getting farther in life?
At that point in time, I had relocated to a foreign country, Tel Aviv, in Israel. I had met my significant other, and she was from there, so I moved out there. And when I landed in that country, I had asked them, like, how do you make money in this town? You know, I was literally like a street alley cat hustler. Like, I don't know much, but they told me, like, the country produces a ton of tech.
Okay.
That opened my eyes to, creating software that can scale, that can reach many consumers, many organizations. And so for the last 15 years, I've been on this serial quasi-entrepreneurial cycle. I wasn't always the founder of the company, but I was always an early stage key player, 0 to 10 employees kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Where there was, built some great stuff. I mean, there was Wix.com. It's one of the most famous website builders here in the United States. Similar Web, company named Yotpo. Yotpo made the 5-star review system that you see on all your e-commerce sites. You had Bring, which did last mile logistics. So when you can track that driver in the final mile coming to your house, that was Bring's technology. later down the road, a company named Rossum that did cognitive AI. So we would read documents with technology to eliminate the need for people to key in information from like an invoice or something like that. So this is important for large organizations. So over the past 15 years, it's been zero to hero tech companies that I was involved in at the ground floor. My responsibility was to get them to market, get them in the hands of consumers, make consumers happy in a systematic way, in a scalable way, exponential scale, not linear, which is a huge challenge. I don't know if that journey helped me afford things. I'm not big on things personally, but it helped me afford pride in the work that I do. I have a lot of stories behind the different steps of the journey and the chaotic moments, the successful moments, the highs, the lows. I think the biggest takeaway, the most valuable takeaway from all my experiences is just pure play wisdom and hardship along the way grounds you and keeps you down to earth, which I think are difficult things to achieve as you start to see success in your life. And so for me personally, I think that's a little bit of the journey.
I love that. I think that's really relatable because people are just kind of, a lot of us end up just going through the motions, right? But it's cool to know that when you are one of those first employees, it's still a similar thing of like, you know what, you're still just going at it, working, and if you're taking pride in your work, that's really one of the important things.
Yeah, I think people miss out on opportunities because they don't recognize that your personal end game, professionally, personally, and in all things, in all walks of life, is a series of stepping stones, and not everything is going to make you happy along the way. And if you learn to accept that quickly and you understand that it's just a contribution to your personal journey, and you make the most out of it each and every time, then things will work out better than you think. The problem is when you stop, when you hang out, when you say, I'm not sure, I don't know if I want to do this, you're overthinking it. You miss out on your personal momentum, and you miss out on the random things that can come your way as you are in motion.
So it's kind of like
you don't see anything on the road when you're parked at the side of the road.
That's
you see
fair.
cool things when you're driving around. So keep driving. That's it.
I like that. It's kind of like I think for a long time I was like that, but it's like the analysis paralysis where it's like you have these opportunities come up or options, and you're just like, you try analyzing every benefit and negative when really you should just kind of jump in and figure it out as you go.
You got to expose yourself. You got to be vulnerable. You got to be honest with yourself. You got to know what you know, learn what you don't.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense for a founder of a company now. I mean, talk
to your
about how
core
you transition to that.
Yeah, stick to your core values. Today, I'm the founder of MotorMia. MotorMia was born out of my own pain. So like you said, I don't chase, big flashy cars. I chase cars that are fun to drive, cars that I can work on, cars that I think anybody can afford, but if you're not investing the time to find them, you won't get it because they're hard to either get away from the existing owner most of the time, or just hard to find in the right condition, whatever it is. So I was heavily invested in, I had 2-3 cars at the time. I was spending my nights and weekends wrenching on them, and I got really frustrated at how since 2008 when I left the business, not a lot has really evolved on the technology side for the enthusiasts. I always argue that the greatest innovation for an enthusiast today online is Instagram and YouTube. And those are just experiences, they're not technology. And personally at that point in time, I was having difficulties trying to sort out how to build out my car, the best options, what I can expect as an outcome. I was looking for real world evidence of how a certain modification would impact the vehicle, and it was more challenging than I thought. And so I decided to do something about it, create an incredible experience for enthusiasts that would help them build out their vehicles with the support and assistance of some of the modern technologies, namely artificial intelligence, and the company's name is Motor Mia. There's a story behind that. It's not just because it's my daughter's name. It also means my motor, but more than that, a lot of the thinking came from a 6-year-old who, while I was working in the garage, would say, "Daddy, what are we doing next? How do I make the car faster? Can we make the car pink?" She would ask me all these questions. I was just like, when she grows up, like, who is she gonna ask? Like, what is she gonna research? She's not gonna spend time in reading through documentation. It's gonna really need to be at their fingertips. So my daughter was a huge inspiration for kicking off this company. I think the naive simplicity of the way she thinks about things helps me think about how to use complex technology to provide a simple but fun experience for people. So that's what we do today. Motor Mia was founded about a year ago. We spent about 6 to 9 months building out the technology with the objective to, in layman's term, build a real-world Gran Turismo, where you could build out a car and just order it and get it done.
Yeah.
Either yourself or with the help of somebody else. And we released the technology about a couple months ago, and we've crossed hundreds of thousands of users already. So clearly, hopefully people are enjoying the experience, and if they're not, we're going to just make it better and better.
I mean,
as we grow.
It's definitely proof of concept when you got hundreds of thousands of people. I think a huge testament on my end. I remember talking to you when it was just an idea. And in idea terms, it sounds really cool because you're like, okay, we're going to simplify not having to go through forums and all this other stuff that is one of the biggest headaches with being a car guy. Like, really, we just want to drive, or like you said, wrench. You don't really want to do the research, right? So
I don't think, even if you want to do the research, you don't want to get it wrong.
That too. Okay, so that's
the other thing, because there's consequences to your car, your baby.
Well, when we met, I think that week I had been looking for tires that would fit the 5.0 and that were good performance tires, but I was still able to daily them, and it wasn't like my Pirellis that were eating up. And you told me you had just gone through the exact same thing with this car, and that was the selling pitch on I spent hours on that, not being able to figure out if they'd be compatible with the 5.0. with the wheel sizes and all this, and Motor Mia just kind of handles that of just hey, this is my goal, and then she tells you the system just
it's insane how it works. Even I'm blown away by my own tech. I founded it, of course. We assembled a great team that helps improve it, but the ability to just come in and say, this is my car and now I want to increase power, or I want to make it look cooler. And Mia is just simply, putting out the recommendations, and you're able to assemble the build, and then most importantly, see the before and after.
Yeah.
As the starting point of what Motor Mia is going for. It's just super freaking cool, in my opinion. And I invite everybody to try it and tell us, what you think, because we're really not building this. Like I said, similar to my car dealership, I'm building this to make other enthusiasts happy, because I know what that feels like, and that moment of joy, fun, and getting to work on your car, putting a new component, getting to drive it right after, all that kind of stuff. Bringing that to market at scale would be a huge success. For me.
And I'll include the link down in the description and everything for people to go try it, put it on the story, because I truly believe in it, and it's impressive how much progress. I mentioned, guys, it was a year and 3 months ago that we met. Nothing existed, and now it's just progressed at an insane pace, and I can't imagine where it's going to be at.
Fun story. I mean, everyone thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
And I think in your life, a lot of people are going to think that things that you want to do are crazy. But I think when you pursue your passions and you pursue something that has unbreakable, unshakable belief, the chances you're not going to get something out of it of value is incredibly low.
So you're
That's
saying
very important. It doesn't matter. If you have an unshakable belief around doing something, just do it. The failure is valuable. The success is valuable.
It's just a matter of staying on track and keeping at it.
You just got to keep at it, stay consistent. But I think many people don't really develop unshakable beliefs. They're very, the first person that tells them, I don't know, it's all of a sudden doubt sinks in, or the first person says you should do something else, then that belief is no longer held on to.
I think that there's a big change in the mindset of you and some of the other guys that come to the car show. It's you almost take it as motivation, whereas some people would hear it's a bad idea and they'd be like, you know what, you're right, maybe I was just being dumb or like overthinking it. Whereas like there's other people where someone's like, oh, that's not gonna work, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna prove you like wrong. Like I'm gonna make it happen, and it's something I'm passionate about, so why not make it happen?
I think most ideas that have any sort of common sense and then a pursuit of excellence behind it will have a certain level of success. Whether it's crazy success, exponential success, or good enough success, it will always be successful, because the amount of people in the world that actually consistently stay at something and put tons of energy behind it is not that big. It's not a big number. If many people are stuck in their own minds and you're not, and you're just pushing at something, you're going to get ahead
Eventually
of
it'll work out.
a pretty big audience. So
I think you're touching on that right now, but that thing is beautiful. Sorry. But the younger person that's trying to be successful, thinking about carving their own path and being an entrepreneur, what do you think is one key piece of advice that'll keep them going or that would help them out?
just get started. Just don't slow down. I don't know.
Just keep going.
I don't know. Like just don't think.
It's funny. I think a
Just
lot of
don't
times
think.
when we ask a lot of you guys, for it's for entrepreneurs,
It's really
it's
hard.
common sense for you to be like,
It's
just
really
go for
It's
it.
real hard for us because we haven't been in that position. We just did shit.
Yeah.
Like whatever it is. Sell cell phone accessories, sell light up antennas, sell basketball cards, go out and, buy, people's notes from last year and sell it to the next guy in the next year, in the school year, or whatever. I mean, the amount of stuff that I just did without thinking twice about what it is exactly that I'm doing. I mean, I can't even recall all the things that I did.
Mm-hmm.
I never just sat there and did nothing. I think that's my advice. Don't just sit there and do nothing. Do something until you figure out what you want to do next. But don't sit there doing nothing, because then you just get lost in your mind.
I love that, and I think
I don't even know. I think that's the problem. That's why that question is challenging for entrepreneurs in general.
Yeah.
Like it's like
No, but I like that because you just summed it up.
There's no like restless. We're restless.
I think that is a perfect summary of it, because it's not, there's no formula. It's just actually going for it. And like we were talking about earlier, not getting stuck at the beginning. So you just have to keep going, and whatever it is, just like you said, if it's got some common sense, it'll work out to some extent. So
working out can also mean it fails and it opens up your next opportunity.
Yeah.
You cross paths with
and
ABC.
I think your career is literally like it encompasses that, because you've been at so many different companies. Now you're starting your own. Clearly, it's not just a one and done. It's a journey. And just for reference, when Isaac is mentioning buying cars in the 90s and everything, you were in high school. This isn't like someone was doing this like when they were older. Like everything you've done was in your 20s and 30s. And honestly, I'm really happy to have you as a friend, and thank you for coming on and sharing some of your story with us.
I hope
guys,
it helps somebody out there.
And follow MotorMia. Go sign up.
Yeah, never abandon yourself. That's another thing. Don't get lost in the nonsense. Stay true to yourself. I think that's the hardest thing along the way.
I like it.
Be down to earth, be honest, be who you are. Don't worry about everybody else. I think that's another good advice for the young guys. Worrying about what everybody else is doing is a big distraction. Only worry about what you're doing.
I like it. Okay. Anything else you want to tell them?
No, that's it. I hope we get to do an episode of this in my Miata, because that's the car that really counts.
We'll figure it out. The microphone might be a bit difficult, but I'll take a ride. All right. Thank you guys.
All right, guys.